Taken in the deep. Ninth wicket goes down. And it's all done actually. It's India who win the World Cup for the third time. The first team to win back-to-back World Cups and the first host to win the T20 World Cup in their hometown. So it's a fantastic performance for India.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
He's not pulling that back.
That's Ravi Shastri. He doesn't know the score, and he's the main commentator on the coverage. It's mind-blowing.
It's hardly the barest of margins, is it? He's really missed the moment there.
So why? So what's even going on there? Why? So he was on ball by ball all night, I assume. We were doing a watch along here at work, so I wasn't able to listen to the commentary properly. So he was on ball by ball all night, and he just lost his way because he gave that little shit about what was happening.
Yeah, because then Ishan Kishan comes in, bowls that ball, and it just gets, smoked down the ground. Was it Duffy? I can't remember. And then
Heads need to roll for that.
Calls it like it's the ninth wicket, and then obviously people are going, it's finished, and then literally the whole of the... Yeah, that was very odd. I thought it was very, very strange. One job, Ravi. One job.
Where does that rank? Like, one of my favourite bits of commentary of all time, I'm not sure if you've seen it, boys, is that clip where he's commentating the big unit eating the ice cream. Yes. And that's up there with that now. He's got some great moments.
Well, yeah, and at least that was deliberate and funny. This is just like... It's just indicative of it kind of being like this thing that doesn't really matter. It's all just such a fait accompli.
It's a small win that undermines a massive victory over there, though. I hope that made it to all the English-speaking highlights packages and stuff like that, because that was the moment that the game was over. That was the moment that India won the World Cup.
That's just so uninterested in what New Zealand were doing at that point. Yeah. Good on you, Ravi.
Yeah, and then I think Dooley straight after that offered better analysis of the game, probably because he was looking for an IPL commentary deal. But anyway, not the point. Shall we do this show? Ah, yes. Kia ora koutou. Welcome along to the BYC Podcast live from the Export Beer Garden studio and brought to you by the legends at Resene and Midland Brick. In the absence of a very unpopular currently ACC Head G Lane, I am Finn Caddie, and today I feel very lucky to be sitting here with an ultra in hand to observe the observations of New Zealand's two favourite cricket nerds. One, the founder of the Beige Brigade, the other, the founder of the Bounce Substack, Paul Ford, Dylan Cleaver. Hi. People no doubt can't wait for us to do some coal raking, but first I understand you've made a disturbing revelation, DC, so let's start there today. Yeah,
look, I think we've got to get the elephant in the room straight away, and look, I can't go into too many details and I can't reveal sources, etc., other than to say I received a call earlier in the week from a notorious North Shore middleman who asked if I could go straight to the Takapuna Library. Once there, I was handed a note and directed to number 940.5421 on the Dewey Decimal System. And there, sandwiched between two of Anthony Beevor's great works, Stalingrad and D-Day, the Battle for Normandy, was a manila folder with a single sheet of paper. And inside that sheet of paper was strong evidence that Michael Lane, G Lane, co-founder of the Beige Brigade, not only picked India to win the World T20 Championship, but stood to profit from it at the expense of fellow New Zealanders. And look, I really don't want to be too harsh here, but when you understand that, you begin to see that his patriotic journey, dipping into his wife's savings account to get to Ahmedabad at the 11th hour, it just starts to be seen in a whole different light. And I'm wondering if he got to some of those New Zealand players, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. And, yeah, look, I think I'll have to throw to Paul Ford. Now here he's looking dumbfounded, dumbstruck even.
Yeah, this is a huge revelation. I mean, I was starting to look for his name in the Epstein files when you said there were revelations, but this is much more significant, I think. And I'm going to... Look, I feel sick about what you've just said, to be honest, and I think we need to hear the defence, and the defence is currently... He's a man on the run. He's left Singapore. We don't know where he's headed to, so we need to just see what happens there. But when we next confront him, I think there's things that need to be ironed out. What I will say, though, in the absence of a defence directly from the accused, is that I have been at sporting fixtures, many sporting fixtures, including cricket matches, that he has cared about in foreign countries, and New Zealand has won those games. And I do wonder whether what actually needs to happen to break this curse is that lots more New Zealanders need to actually go to those games and help him, because at the moment he is doing quite a lot of lifting almost single-handedly. So there needs to be a little bit of self-reflection from people that are casting stones in his direction, that are the people that actually do not travel overseas to attend cricket matches. That's just one point that I'd like to make in his absence.
There's also been a petition started in the last 24 hours, just on that note, to keep G Lane away from the Boxing Day test in Melbourne this year. We're currently sitting at 2,500 signatures. So there's a lot of people that are hurting right now, gentlemen. So I think maybe this segues nicely on, for obvious reasons, to the final in Midland itself. DC, I assume you were up watching along?
Yeah, I was. It was a tough watch. I think I might have communicated with the members of the wider BYC family to express that. Probably at around about, when did it start? 2:30? Probably around about 2:50, I think. With
yeah, 6 overs.
It took you 6
94
overs.
for none, or whatever it was.
To send the text to Joe Jury saying, this is a tough watch.
Yeah, very quick recap. India, 255 for 5, just went for it from ball one. Batted amazingly. I think I calculated they have scored 963 runs in their last 4 T20s. So they are going like trains. We're not the only ones to suffer under the weight of their Kashmir willow bats. And in reply, New Zealand scored 159, obviously falling miles short. Yeah,
A good 159, might I add. There were times there, Seifert. There was there was never a moment where in that second innings we really felt like we were going to win that, was there? Even when Tim Seifert was hitting back-to-back sixes off a couple of opening overs. It was a tough morning, that's for sure. Paul, I imagine you feel fairly similar.
Yeah. Oh, look, it felt like, I mean, there's a lot of revisionist history about, I think, what happened out there, which is, we shouldn't have picked Jacob Duffy. Now, we can definitely talk about that. I felt sorry for Cole McConkey not being in there, but there was method to the madness. Putting New Zealand winning the toss and electing to chase under lights, possibility of dew, or that seemed unlikely. Again, there's a method to that madness. We basically said if Seifert and Allen get going, they can chase anything. And frankly, against South Africa, a similar attack, although no Bumrah, crucially, we were on track to score 250. So there was pressure on that Indian batting lineup as they went out to bat, thinking, shit, that New Zealand order, they can get going. We're going to need to score 1 million. Unfortunately, they then proceeded to score 1 million. And yeah, that power play, those first 6 overs, record for the tournament, just extraordinary hitting. And you could see the New Zealanders going through their plans. I also heard some criticism that they went to plan B, C, D, E, F, and G quite quickly. But again, it felt like it was always going to be one of those games where if there's 10 things, New Zealand needs 5 to go in their favour and India needs 5 of them to go against them. And then we might have had a chance. But on the night, India were just too damn good. And they have laid down the gauntlet for how T20 cricket gets played. You have 8 guys that just try and hit sixes for an hour and a half, and then you chuck Bumrah at the bowling crease and try and score the runs off that. Good luck. It's a pretty flawless plan most days.
It's a terrifying prospect. DC, are you scared? I mean, we've had conversations in the past. I know there was a famous conversation between Daniel Vettori and Mike Lane during a game of golf where DV said to Mike, you wait till the Indians figure out how to get their players moving the right way through first-class cricket over there, and before you know it, if they get the recruitment right, India are going to be unbeatable. I mean, and we saw at this tournament, I think it was at the forefront, the guys that had batted well in the IPL, got runs in the first team, and then who would have thought the guys that were on form played, and they were unbelievable. Is 250 the new 200 as well? Yeah,
I think it is the way India play the game. And you're going to have days where it goes spectacularly wrong, and New Zealand needed it to be a day where it's spectacularly wrong. Like, I gave New Zealand 2 chances of winning this. One was Matt Henry nicking a few off early and putting pressure on the Indian middle order to have to bat a little differently to how they've been batting, and for Finn Allen to get going. As well as Tim Seifert's batted in this series tournament, including the final, chasing a big total, Finn Allen is the key, because he has multiple hitting arcs and he can hit spinners and the paces with equal adeptness, and neither happened You look at players who weren't there for India. I mean, to think back even 2 years, it's unthinkable that India would be in a major tournament without Rohit, without the Rat Kohli, without Yashavi Jaiswal, and
Shubman Gill's quite a good player.
But they, Daniel Vittori unfortunately prophesised it. They figured it out. They've got the best franchise T20 tournament in the world, and it's daylight second, let's face it. Like the IPL was up here, the rest is second. They pick the guys that come through the IPL and bat best and bat quickest.
Yeah.
And it's formidable. A couple of other little points of interest from that final.
DC, just on that point, I think what that means as well is that the way they have prioritised T20 in their season, right? They basically cleared the whole decks of global cricket so that the world's best players come to India and play alongside their youngest players. There's also a cultural change in the way that they bat. If you're Virat Kohli and you average 107 in run chases at a strike rate of 86, you're protecting your record. Those guys are batting like they don't give a shit if they get out. They're just trying to hit a 6 and a 4 every over, because if they do that, they get 200 runs, and then they still have 4 balls every other over to get whatever they can get. That's literally seems to be the method. If you get 14 runs and over, you get 280. They're probably getting out there going, I reckon we could have got 300 today. So I do think that there is this, it's almost snobbery that other teams aren't as good, because what they're saying is, oh no, we're prioritising Test cricket. India are losing Test matches. We know, we're the beneficiaries of that, and we love it from a cultural point of view, but we can't then turn up at T20 World Cups and be like, God, it's bloody annoying how good they are. It's like they have literally built their whole cricketing universe and prioritised this form of cricket to make their young players amazing at the game. I'm not saying that I necessarily want us to do that, but it's a logical extension of the way that they have built their cricket in their country.
Yeah, and another point I think we should raise really early is the final didn't go New Zealand's way. Our pacers got absolutely through the ringer.
Yeah.
Like Lockie Ferguson was on target to go for close to 100 if he'd bowled us 4 overs. We probably
none for 90. Duffy and Ferguson, none for 90 of 5 overs.
Yeah, and maybe we could have played McConkey, but Glenn Phillips didn't bowl a bad over first up.
No.
But New Zealand had a bloody good tournament. They getting to the final, I would not have given them, I would have given very long odds on that happening at the start of the tournament. They played some really good cricket when it counted. Their performance against South Africa in that semi-final was a genuinely superb T20 performance. Finn Allen showed that he is a monster. He is
the real deal. Yeah.
He is the real deal. And as I mentioned before, Tim Seifert had a great tournament. It's just an aesthetic thing. I prefer watching Finn Allen to Tim Seifert because I think he's got multiple hitting arcs. Tim Seifert's more of your classic baseball slugger type opener. But they are a formidable opening pair. Matt Henry is a gun. Mitchell Santner. Do you know he only took 2 wickets this tournament?
Is that right?
2 wickets the entire tournament.
Averaged 92.5.
Yeah, and he's still probably our best bowler because opposition know that they are not going to get more than 24, 25 off him. They sit on him. They will not get out to him. But so that's 4 lockovers we've got through the middle where we're not going to go for many. Santner's great. Formidable opening partnership. Matt Henry's great. And our home conditions, we've got good seamers. They were found a bit wanting in India. I still think there's a little bit of work to do on that middle order. GP Glenn Phillips is obviously brilliant in the field and he's a match winner with the bat. I still think there's a couple of slots that maybe we haven't got it right where we need a more Indian approach, and that is a guy that can come out and just hit 6s from ball 1. But all up, bloody hell, got to the final.
Yeah.
Played really well.
Well said. In terms of the final as a spectacle, Paul Ford, you'll have some thoughts on this, no doubt. A fairly patriotic broadcast, wasn't it?
Oh my God! Yeah, broadcast. What do you call it? The match day presentation. I mean, it does feel it's not unexpected, but I do watch it and go, man, this feels like an Indian event, not an ICC event, not an international event. When literally you're playing, party music when India hits 6s, but not when New Zealand does in the final. I think there's some stuff that's kind of weird around that, and I know we have to, get down on our knees for Jay Shah across the cricketing globe, and it's just part of how it is. But he really looked like an Indian superfan out there, clutching the trophy and trying to get in all the photos and stuff.
And the camera kept panning to his private box as well, and he was celebrating.
There must be people squirming watching that, or in his orbit at that place, going, "Shit, this doesn't feel right, but we've just got to suck it up." So I'm a bit uncomfortable about that. I also saw there was some interesting criticism around, and this is brave, really, from some commentators in India around the Indian team taking the trophy to a Hindu temple, and how cricket and sport is meant to be secular, and there's definitely some players in that Indian team. I think is it Samson, isn't he? I think he's a Catholic. So yeah, there's some interesting religious fervour around that team as well. Obviously, it's played in the Narendra Modi Stadium and the Coliseum. There's all of the political ramifications. There's just something about it that just feels a bit, I don't know, super Indian, and it's not the fact that it's Indian, it's the fact that it's one country that seems to be dominating all facets, and it doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, I hated that Jay Shah thing and how often the camera panned to his private box. They did it in the semi-final as well against England. For that tournament, he is chairman of the ICC. He's not chairman of the BCCI. That's an ICC tournament. He is meant to represent the organisation, which is a neutral overseer of cricket. And as Paul had the perfect description from him, he's acting like a super fan in his private box, surrounded by acolytes, celebrating Indian wickets and sixes. It more than made me squirm. It actually made me go, this is the nadir of broadcast standards for a ICC tournament.
Yeah, well, there's escorts of MS Dhoni and who else was there?
Rohit
Sharma was there as well.
Yeah.
Looking like great mates. I think you've covered a few of these off, fellas, but I see you've jotted down here someone ups, downs and curiosities from the tournament. Do you just want to rattle those off, DC?
Yeah, well, obviously Finn Allen and Tim Seifert were the ups, and I actually thought the bowler Ratchin was up. I thought that at times he was excellent and spinning the ball probably more than Mitchell Santner.
I'll add a couple in there. I'm going to put Santner in there. I know he averaged 92.5, but economy rate of under 7 runs per over. I saw comparisons being made with Daniel Vettori. I know we've just talked about it, and there is an eeriness about that. I'm also going to put Cole McConkey in my A-listers. What else could Cole McConkey have done than what he did? He was a surprise omission from the first 11 in the final. He turned up and got a couple of wickets in his second game. He played an important batting knock in his first game. He did amazing. So I'm putting him in my A-listers as well.
Yep, fair enough. Downs, it's always a bit of a grim job to do this, but Lasercock didn't have a great tournament, obviously. Lockie and the Duff struggled, and the batter Ratchet. I'm not sure he's quite there as a T20 number 3.
Why? The technique certainly is. At times, in terms of his cover drive, that's what I'm pointing at there really around his technique. Are you not happy with his decision making? You don't think he's actually got the technique? What do you think about that?
I don't know what it is actually, because I am a massive fan of his talent, and I think he is a very obvious 3-4 player. He's that good.
Yeah.
I just don't think he plays critical, heady innings enough to be the New Zealand number 3 in the T20 team.
And then moving on to curiosities.
Well, obviously the Santner one was the biggest curiosity.
Yeah.
Our best bowler takes 2 wickets for the tournament. I was going to actually mention Cole McConkey as a curiosity. I found it curious he was called up in the first place, and he did absolutely nothing wrong once he was there. And then, was MIA for the final, not of his own choice, obviously.
Yeah, it's a curiosity as well, I guess, that, Ish Sodhi only played, I think two games, including at Colombo, and just, didn't really get anything done. I think got none for 34, and that was basically his only contribution. That was weird, and what I mean by that is I thought going to that tournament he would have a big contribution to make. Jacob Duffy was the guy that I thought was sort of bottom of the list for me. 3 wickets at an average of an economy rate. 3 wickets at 54 and an economy rate of about 11 runs and over. I mean, yeah, not his fault, but geez, he looked like he was having such a tough time from the get-go in that final.
Is it fair to call him and Kyle Jamieson maybe home track bullies?
Yep, there's definitely comparisons to that. But Duffy in particular has got a very, very strong home record. But yeah, his economy rates for away, and in particular against India away. I mean, against India away, he averages 38 runs per over at 38 per wicket and 11 runs per over against a career average of something like 20 and 8. So yeah, massively favours New Zealand soil.
Any final thoughts, boys, you want to shelf before we take a break and move on to the upcoming South African series?
No, I'm quite happy to take a break and move on to the upcoming South African series.
Well, I was just going to say, one stat that I just saw just before I came on here is that there was an average of 14 sixes per T20 match in that tournament. So 55 games, I think it was 780 sixes. It's unbelievable. And I mentioned this on the chat with Mike from the hotel room in Ahmedabad, but it's going to be interesting whether that translates to the T20 World Cup in Australia and New Zealand in a couple of years. Bigger stadiums, greener pitches, less like linoleum, put it that way. Going to be interesting to see whether that enormous 6-hitting extravaganza continues at the next tournament.
Well, at Eden Park.
Yeah, certainly will. Just on that note, is our team, do you think, going to be looking fairly similar by the time we get there? I was trying to think of names throughout that game when we were watching it to give me something else to think about.
No.
I reckon that's a really good topic, but I think that we've seen Australia transform their team. Now, it didn't work this tournament, but the way that they are trying to set that team up is basically have guys that can buff it from 1 to 8. We haven't quite got there, I don't think. I reckon over the next couple of years that's going to happen.
Okay, interesting. Let's take a break and we'll chat South Africa shortly. Rightio, shall we start with the teams announced, DC, for the upcoming T20 series?
It's a little confusing, but yeah, I can do that for you. So I'm going to name the name and then I will put numbers beside the name, and that is the games they are available for this series.
Oh, okay? Jesus Christ.
So we've got Mitchell Santner, who will captain from games 1 to 3. It's a 5-match series.
It's like shift working.
We've got Courtney Clark, who's coming in for games 4 to 5, potentially to make his debut. That's an exciting selection. Josh Clarkson, available for the lot. Dane Cleaver is available for games 4 and 5. Conway is available for games 1 to 3.
Okay.
Ferguson is available for games 2 to 3. That's a nice twist. Zach Folkes is available for the lot, as is Bevan John Jacobs, as is Kyle Jamieson, and as is Nick Kelly, who also stands to make his T20 debut. Tom Latham, now this is a real surprise for me, he comes into captain games 4 and 5. Jaden Lennox potentially makes his debut in games 4 and 5. Cole McConkey, Jimmy Neesham, Tim Robinson, Ben Sears, Nathan Smith and Ish Sodhi are available for the lot. And there's a very strange sentence in the press release that accompanied this squad. It says Finn Allen, Mark Chapman, Jacob Duffy, Daryl Mitchell, Glenn Phillips, Rachin Ravinja and Tim Seifert will miss the series to rest and freshen up after India, alongside Matt Henry, who will also take some time to spend with his new baby. Now, I think that is overstepping the mark for New Zealand cricket, and I have no problem with Matt Henry being given time off, but they cannot tell him how to spend that time off. He might not want to spend time with his baby.
No, he'll be trying to spend. I would imagine he's trying to spend as much time away from his new baby so he can get some sleep. I mean, what a stupid thing to make him do as part of his contractual obligations. I think Matt Henry could probably revoke his contract based on that. So yeah, good call.
So who are you looking forward to seeing the most out of those? Is it 3 potential debutants?
Yeah, look, Courtney Clark's an excitement machine at the crease, and it fits into 26 years old, no relation to Christian Clark, actually, which surprised the hell out of me.
Wow.
I actually thought he was, given that they both play for ND and both got Christian name starting with K. I thought it was a little family tradition that they had going there, so got a bit of a surprise to learn there's no relation. He's an excitement machine at the top, and it plays into Paul's little theory here about how we think New Zealand might evolve their T20 outlook, and that is to pick guys that just go for it, like no anchors anymore. The days, and I like these days, don't get me wrong, but the days of you having your Kane Williamsons in there to revolve around are probably gone now, unless, well, Kane's retired obviously, so he's gone, but even like a Ratchin or a Daryl Mitchell to act as a fulcrum of around which others can go for it, I don't think that's the way T20 cricket is going to be played now.
You think it's just going to be the New Zealand All-Stars essentially?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like it. I look forward to seeing it. Jacobs.
Just pick eight openers, which means we've got 8 closers, and then hope for the best. Yeah, I think Kartini Clark, I'm pretty sure he's from Pukekohe, whereas Christian Clark's from Te Awamutu, so they're sort of opposite ends of Northern Districts in a way. So there's, in terms of the guys that are at the World Cup and are playing, it's Santner, Conway, Ferguson, Jamison, McConkey, Nisham, Sears and Sodhi. Then we've got a bunch of guys that are buggering off to the IPL and a bunch of guys that are buggering off to the PSL in Pakistan. So it's a bit of a sort of the secondary, the second brightest light, I guess. Obviously, they're playing it pretty much in that IPL window because Pakistan players can't or won't be picked. So Daryl Mitchell, Devon Conway, Mark Chapman and Michael Bracewell, if he's not injured by then, will be heading off to Pakistan. It's interesting, isn't it? Because that IPL window is known as the IPL window, but actually it's turned into the IPL and the PSL window. It's just as I think it was the coach, I think, said, New Zealand coach said, it's just the nature of the beast. That's how we need to manage things. So Allen, Chapman, Duffy, Mitchell, Phillips, Ravinder and Seifert and Henry are all going to either India and Pakistan, and they're the guys that are being rested or being forced to spend time with their children. Injured guys, Bracewell, Milne, O'Rourke and Tickner. And then I guess the guys that are back that have been sort of on the fringes, weren't selected in that T20 World Cup squad, Clarkson, Folkes, Jacobs and Robinson. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see those guys just absolutely throw themselves into it.
Any news on the Proteas squad, Paul Ford?
I reckon, yeah, and I mean, they're shifty bastards, the South Africans, aren't they? I mean, they will send a weakened team at the drop of a hat, and guess what they're doing for this tournament? They're sending a weakened team. Yeah, right. They are sending 3 players from their World Cup squad that was, of course, knocked out at the tournament by New Zealand. Keisha Masharaj, who is the captain. George Linder, who hardly played, the spinner, and Jason Smith, who I think is a top-order batsman with a very nondescript name. None of their IPL guys are even bothering to come down to New Zealand. They've sent 5 uncapped players, and I swear to God, you won't have heard of most of their team, but I'll name you the uncapped players. Connor Esterhazen, Dejan Forrester, Jordan Herman, Ethan Bosch, and a guy called Ngombani Mokwena, who is an under-19 fast bowler, and I think he's going to have some gas. So that'll be good. Yeah.
I think
only a couple of guys I've really heard of, Gerald Quartzia and Tony DeZorzi, they're back.
That guy Herman absolutely monstered New Zealand A in South Africa last year. Him and his brother, I think, got big runs. What do you think? I mean, I'll throw this open to the panel. Tom Latham. Is that a surprise that he's back in the kind of T20? Is it even necessary? I mean, very fine player, great servant of New Zealand cricket. But is he really the option for New Zealand in T20s going forward? And I've got a little bit of a kind of conspiracy theory here, and I think this might just be New Zealand cricket doing him a solid, giving him a little platform so he can say, hey, I play T20s, Mr. Boss of the PSL, Mr. Boss of the Caribbean Premier League, etc.
This is a small advertising campaign for Latham.
I saw that selection as we need a captain. It would be Bracewell would probably be the most likely, or Mitchell. Neither of those guys are there for different reasons, so we need a senior head in there. But yeah, your theory is way more interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think why. Well, you guys were talking about previously the way that New Zealand cricket want to start setting up their T20 squad in the next couple of years, and this just feels like that's not going with the direction of that. Although
he had a really good Super Smash, and he's
taking nothing away from him for sure, but
good player,
but not as good as Tom Blundell either.
No, true. And players can evolve. But I just think that he's the Test captain. He's a one-day linchpin for New Zealand. Do we really need him trying to expand his repertoire at this stage of his career?
And but he's just coming in as Mitchell Santner, actually only available for, games 1 to 3, and then they've just gone, actually, we just need a captain, so let's just plug in.
It's a boring reason, but it's
plug and
probably
play,
quite sound. But then why do you pick Dane Cleaver for games 4 and 5 as well?
Yep, good shout. These are the questions that need to be asked.
We probably should be answering them, but we're not. We're just throwing them out there.
Just gonna ask them. We're just going to keep asking questions. I've got another question. How many tickets do you think South Africa will sell based on that squad?
Oh, good God.
Is Mafaka playing?
Oh, Mafaka.
Nope.
Oh, man, he's
Mafaka.
an excitement machine. I would.
Sapumla.
Yeah.
Supamla's not getting you excited, DC?
Nah.
What about Jason Smith?
Yeah, that's a false name, isn't it? That's your name you use to check into a hotel when you're having an affair.
Okay, specific example. Fixtures
Do you?
all start at 7:15 p.m. Is that a good time, a bad time? You happy with that, DC?
I'm much happier with that. That's far more doable.
I'll give you a reason not to be happy. Every single game is a double header because the White Ferns are playing South Africa. So you have to take... you're still going to be at the cricket ground for about 7 hours.
Yeah.
So we've got Mount on Sunday, Hamilton Tuesday, I believe. All of those games are going to be covered once again by the ACC. I believe you boys, maybe you not pool this time round. Are you rostered on for any pool in the upcoming series?
I'm going to go. I'm going to the Eden Park game with the family and doing some sponsorship obligations for the ACC. And I'm going to go to the Cape Town game. Yeah, so I'll be floating around at that one. This is the last ever series that'll be televised on TVNZ, by the way, and then it all goes back to Sky.
It goes back to a paywall, yeah, and I mean that's the reason we've got double headers, isn't it, to save broadcasting costs and that, but they don't work. Double headers, I feel sorry for the women, and that they're just going to get lost in the whole thing, and that's the thing with T20 cricket. Played T20 cricket. It was designed to get a family-friendly 3.5 hour package. And so what do? We turn it into an all-day affair.
Yeah. What does this mean for the broadcasting team that's involved with the TVNZ coverage? Some commentators that we're used to hearing for a while now. Do they all just get transferred over, or is that a controversial conversation that they're not able to have?
I think now's the time they start texting executives at Sky and arranging to meet for a cup of coffee and a chat.
Yeah, right, okay.
No specific reason for it. They just haven't caught up for a while. And,
yeah. Okay.
They also probably text the TVNZ executives and say, hey, you should keep talking or get talking to the NZ20 people about where that TV, where that tournament might be on television, because it might be quite good if it's on free-to-air.
That's a good shout. Well, speaking of the women and the doubles headers getting, not what they quite deserve, shall we move on to the Zimbabwe tour that is currently happening?
Currently happening as we speak.
Yeah, it's on right now, eh?
Before we do that, we should probably do the TAB hunch.
Yes,
I mentioned the IPL before, and I believe that the Alternative Commentary Collective is slapping a lazy $100 on the Kolkata Knight Riders, the home of, I think, Sidefart's there, Phineas Slog, and Ratchin Ravindra. We're going full noise on that. They're going to win the IPL, and we're going to get $1,000 for our $100 invested. They're playing 10 to 1, so get amongst that.
Beauty. Okay, Zimbabwe, the women's, go.
You want me to go? I've got 3 statistics for you. I can tell you this is one of the biggest hidings in the history of cricket. That's the headline. I don't know. They're playing today, I think. But the current scoreline in the series, get this, New Zealand, 903 for 7. Zimbabwe, 536 for 43. So at the moment, New Zealand is averaging 131 runs per wicket, and Zimbabwe are averaging 12 runs per wicket. So New Zealand are literally more than 10 times better than Zimbabwe in this series. That's my first stat. Secondly, shout out to Izzy Gaze, the female Gaze, who is averaging infinity with the bat, or was,
freak,
and then got dismissed so she didn't get dismissed in the T20s, didn't get dismissed in the first one-dayer, then got out for 20 in the second ODI. So going into this game today, she's averaging 268, so that's good. And shout out to our captain, Mealy Kerr, who's broken the 44-year long record by taking 7 wickets in the second ODI. This was in Dunedin on Sunday. 7 for 34. Zimbabwe all out for 102. That is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th best bowling figures in the history of women's one-day international cricket, and the best by a New Zealander, which I think was Jackie Lord, 6 for 10 versus India in 1982.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
there you
remember
go.
that. That was a cracking spell. Just philosophically,
Please.
I think it's really important to raise the bar in women's cricket. And one thing I actually loved about the World T20 that's just finished was that initial pool play where we had your Canadas, we had your UAEs. I think it's critical that cricket bosses continue to try to grow the game. Does this actually benefit anybody, though, a tour of this nature? Who benefits here? New Zealand benefit from their stats, as you mentioned. Paul Ford benefits because he gets to pass some of those stats on to the listener.
The
You
listener
made
then
me do
benefits.
that.
Well,
I got bullied into doing that. I didn't want to do that.
Then the listener benefits. Actually,
Yeah.
so many people are benefiting. What am I even talking about?
So
This is brilliant.
a
This
lot
is
of
one of the
people are
great series of all time.
A lot of people are benefiting, but I just don't think the New Zealand female cricket side is.
I don't think Zimbabwe is either, really.
No. I don't think anyone that's actually playing the games really are.
Nah, it feels like there should have been some sort of grading game. I don't know. We should know how weak Zimbabwe are, and is it good for New Zealand cricket to support lesser nations? Yes. Does women's cricket in Zimbabwe need a leg up? Yes. Is there stuff that we could do? Yes. Is putting them on, sending them around the country to play games in the dead of the night with no one watching, is that really what they need at the moment? I mean, I don't know the answer. They obviously went, yeah, hell yeah, we're keen for that. It's great exposure and all those sorts of things. But they probably could have played a New Zealand A team or a selection team, and it might have been, a bit more of a contest and a bit more helpful for New Zealand's development. That said, this is a pretty decent, warm up for what's going to be a pretty competitive series against the top South African team because the women are sending their best side out here. So
Good.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because without that, New Zealand, they don't play, and then what's Zimbabwe doing?
Yeah. And New Zealand could be that team. You look back to some of those dark days of the 90s, other countries would have been saying that when New Zealand men's team toured. Like, is this benefiting anyone?
Yeah. It's tricky, It's tricky. There's always going to be that phase, and whether it's a 1 year, a 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, 40 year phase of getting teams up to speed. As you say, God, we would have been saying this about Canada, Oman, the United States, Scotland, all of these teams that have just performed, admirably in the recent T20 World Cup. So maybe it's more of a 10-year plan. What will probably happen from this is people will look at those results and go, they're absolutely shithouse. We are never getting them to tour anywhere ever again. Yeah. So that in that case, it would be massively counterproductive.
Turns into a bit of an own goal. Right, fourth headline of the day now, fellas. Dylan Cleaver, domestic dynamite.
Holy moly. For lovers of domestic cricket, and particularly the Plunket Shield, which I absolutely love, so much so that I got off my ass and went down to the Ipu the other day and sat on the bank of Eden Park Outer Oval.
Okay.
And because I wanted to check out this Thomas O'Connor, and he looked handy. It's always deceptive when you look front on and when you're watching it on YouTube where you've got the one fixed camera and it's not a great camera. And then I thought, yeah, he looks handy, but nothing spectacular. Then I went and sat side on down at the Ipu, and jeepers, he's got some wheels.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really think he is a prospect. He got 7 wickets in the first innings for Otago against Auckland, ripped through them. Last look, he had 5 in the second dig, so he's got 12 for the match. I did a little bit of research on O'Connor, and it means a lover of wolves.
Okay.
Or wolves. And he is the son of Shane. He looks slightly more with it than Shane. I was a bit of a fan of Shane O'Connor, left-arm swing bowler, but he had that propensity to look a little bit bewildered at times when playing for New Zealand.
I saw that Shane O'Connor's been mentioned in dispatches around this because they were saying that Thomas has now got a better PB than Shane O'Connor, whose best ever return was 6 for 31 in first-class cricket.
Oh, well, so, I think Tom O'Connor's first-class bowling average is around about 10 at the moment, so it's spectacular. So he's close to, I think, Otago on the brink of winning that game against Auckland. That's going to lift them right into contenders for Plunket Shield. They'll be right there or thereabouts. And somehow, that was only the second most spectacular bowling feat of this latest round of the Plunket Shield. And I'll get Paul to take us through never-before-seen scenes from McLean Park.
Sitting down with my pancakes in the weekend and holy moly, just flicked the cricket on, just the lazy YouTube, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? There had already been one wicket, and then I sat down and watched the next 4 balls, and they were all wickets. It was extraordinary. Brett Randell steaming in, 5 wickets and 5 balls, a lazy 7 for 25. At one point he had 7 for 4, which is quite good. Look, unbelievable. 5 wickets and 5 balls has never been done in the history of first-class cricket. So that was pretty extraordinary. I loved his comments afterwards. He said, it gets drummed into us a lot not to go searching for wickets. So I was just trying to keep bowling the same ball, the plan A that we talked about, and it came off. So, I mean, he's pretty low-key about it. I did put a comment on the post which had the highlights, which was wicket, wicket, shirt, wicket, wicket, because I'm pretty sure the third wicket, which maybe was Clark, I think, was it?
Joe Clark, I think, yeah.
Yeah, he did stand and look at the umpire, and there was a bit of head shaking, and there was a bit of just tugging at the shoulder of his shirt. But yeah, a hell of a spell from Brett Randell, who was dressed a bit like Rambo. He was running runs the full white headband. Yeah, good, outstanding from him.
Yeah, great nut to get rid of Henry Cooper, a nip backer that took the top of off. Then the next wicket, I think he cleaned through Jeet Raval, which was another cracking ball round the wicket to the lefty. Then there was the controversial shirt hat-trick ball. Then Robbie O'Donnell, fine player, came out and nicked one straight into the slips. And the fifth wicket was a good ball. Christian Clark had to play at it, but it was very lucky. He kind of bunted it down onto the ground. Then it looped high in the air and just clipped the top of leg as it was coming back down. But yeah, extraordinary scenes, and that no surprises here, but obviously CD won by an innings. So they went from second to last on the table to putting themselves right back in contention here. They're on 65 points. Northern Districts are leading on 69. I think Otago, if they do complete this victory, they can nestle themselves right up in amongst that CD-ND bracket, and then it just depends on what part weather will have to play in the Canterbury-Wellington match, which I think Canterbury are dominating at the moment. But Wellington are the only team who are not a mathematical chance of winning this year's Plunket Shield. It's just a fantastic tournament, the best. And continuing on with that theme, the Golden Box, the most prestigious prize for batting in New Zealand, Brad Schmulian of CD. 654 runs. He's always thereabouts, Schmulian. He never gets mentioned in dispatches for higher honours, but if he was for Canterbury, that might be different. Speaking of which, Harvey Nichols,
drive by,
607 runs, having just a fantastic season, and Henry Cooper from ND on 596. Those three are a length of the straight ahead of the rest. The Silver Sweatband, it's a real year of the Southpaw. We have Rowan Gulati from Auckland with 27 wickets with his left arm orthodox. Raymond O'Toole from CD with 22. And Tim Pringle from ND, another left arm orthodox, with 20.
Well, there you go. That's a fantastic roundup yet again on your favourite sports competition in the World DC. Now, fellas, when reading the run sheet pre-show today, this really raised half an eyebrow, pursed a couple of lips. There's been some more speculation around the NZ20 situation. Who wants to walk us through this?
Yeah, I mean, this is just something we're going to be keeping a close eye on, but there's been some reports from over the ditch in the last few days that I think we've talked about the Deloitte report with the potential options being presented, the pros and cons around Super Smash continues, New Zealand goes into the Big Bash, or NZ20. Those are sort of broadly the three potential options, pros and cons. That's going to be completed by the end of March. And then there's been some speculation or reports over in Australia that New Zealand cricket need to let Cricket Australia know by Easter this year whether they are keen for a New Zealand team to go into the Big Bash. It won't be this coming season. It'll be the 27-28 season.
Right.
As part of those reports, there was speculation that New Zealand cricket had said, one, we want 4 teams in the Big Bash, thanks. I'm not sure how that has landed. It doesn't sound like New Zealand cricket will be taking up that offer. That's what the speculation is. There's also been some speculation around the NZ20 franchises themselves. Stephen Fleming's come out in the last few days and said, we need to get cracking here, guys. We've only got, about 10 months before we're playing if we're going to be doing this thing this summer. One of the franchises, the Queenstown one, potentially, could involve Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes, which is an interesting combination. So, interesting times.
Think about it. There's Millbrook. There's the course at Jack's Point.
Yep,
there's Arrowtown, which is a very fine course. So there's a lot of plus points there for McCullum Stokes.
And the Stokes family homestead, I think, is in Canterbury, I think. So, yes.
So that 4 teams in the BBL, it might seem like a bit of a piss take, but for me, that is actually the only way it works from a New Zealand cricket perspective.
That makes more sense than the one, hey?
Putting the one in would be a death knell for the domestic T20 game in New Zealand. It just doesn't. I can't wrap my head around why anyone thinks that would be a good idea. You get 4 teams in the BBL, that's a different kettle of fish.
Nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's a couple of things around that. One, if you've got one team, it's easy to cut the umbilical cord at any time as well. So, do we trust Australia for the next 20 years? I'm not so sure that we do. And yeah, I just feel like in the same way that the major associations in New Zealand need to, approve or be on board with the things that New Zealand cricket do, so do the Australian state associations. They need to be on board with the things that Cricket Australia do, particularly around domestic cricket. I don't know how a conversation with major associations would go around, hey, New Zealand want to have 4 teams. So currently you're getting X% of revenue of the Big Bash. You're now going to get, so what are there, 8 teams? I don't even know. Now there's 12 teams. Your proportion's going to go from 12% to 8%. Some of those conversations feel very, very prickly and very, very difficult. As boring as it is to talk about the maths.
Right, let's take a break then, fellas. We'll come back to that in the foreseeable weeks, no doubt. We'll come back with a bit of furniture.
Paul Ford's Cricket Violence Corner.
In a shocking incident, a teenager was beaten up in Bahia for allegedly celebrating the fall of a wicket during the T20 World Cup final on Sunday night. The incident occurred at Jakapur village where the local dudes were watching the World Cup final between the two teams. The victim was a 17-year-old watching the match on a mobile phone with his neighbours and some other villagers when an Indian wicket fell. Gosh, that must have been like a moment in time. There weren't too many. He shouted loudly and appeared to celebrate the dismissal. This annoyed another 17-year-old teenager and a few of the others present. An argument broke out and escalated into violence. Kundan was hit. He fell down and his head hit the road. But don't worry, the police have swung into action. There's a forensic science team lab there right now gathering evidence. Further investigations are continuing. 2 police teams are conducting raids and we will nab the accused. The assault has led to tensions in the village and additional police personnel have been deployed to prevent further unrest.
Have you ever watched cricket with a person of New Zealand persuasion that celebrates New Zealand wickets?
I'm just laughing that was a story. What was the question, sorry?
Have you ever watched cricket with a New Zealander, a fellow patriot, a fellow lover of all things New Zealand cricket, and seen them celebrate when New Zealanders go out?
No, why would anyone do that?
I have.
What's their reasoning behind that?
It's normally an anti-Canterbury bias.
Right, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird sensation. Now, I like to gently poke the borax at our friends from Canterbury and sometimes even Otago.
Let me know when you're going to do it gently next.
But I don't know if I've ever felt compelled enough to leap from the seat and punch the air when, like a Nichols or somebody of that ilk has been dismissed.
No. My old man was My old man was a huge... I knew that was going to happen. Ken Rutherford, bloody useless, all of that kind of stuff. But he certainly didn't get up and, do a double fist pump or, foam at the mouth and go all, hyper like Jay Shah after India hit a 4 or a 6 in a World Cup final.
Yeah, the only time I had seen it is the world of gambling has changed it slightly, hasn't it? Sports betting. If you have a multi going and you've got someone else from the other team that needs to, get things across the line for you, that's when I've seen it. Yeah. And as Joe Jury said in our ears just moments ago, whenever the ACC are trying to knock off early from a commentary and the game is as good as gone and we're just praying for a soldier's death, I have also seen it there.
Yes, so if anyone was wondering why I was saying true before, that was in response to producer Joe Jury's suggestion. Yeah, yes, towards the end of a long commentary stint, sometimes a wicket is more welcome than at other times.
Right, let's move on, eh? Play that intro, Joe.
Bat chat.
Yeah, a couple of interesting little stories here that have been sent in. 2 stories from the same account from Robin. I will go through the first one because it's quite interesting actually. And he says, "Gents, long-time listener, first-time writer. I've been listening since the halcyon days when the podcast was recorded overlooking the mighty Ben Byrne Park." That was Paul Stewart Ford. I certainly wasn't involved in any podcast overlooking that park. But these appear to be autographed bats, and he sent a photo in of 3 magnificently preserved bats from the 50s. And I'll just briefly explain them. 2 of them are gun bats before William Gunn merged with Mr. Moore to form Gunner Moore. They just got William Gunn on them, and they're autographed by the Australian 1953 team, the Australian I'm testing my eyesight here, maybe 51 team, and Australia
54. Yep.
Yeah, 64, and Australia versus England from obviously an Ashes series. And some of the signatures on these are pretty amazing. You've got your Richie Benos, your Peter Burgess, your Ken Slasher Mackays, Bobby Simpson I saw on there, Dennis Comden, Colin Cowdrey. So anyway, they're fantastic looking bats that produced, and continuing the email now, the story here, produced to commemorate various series. I was given these by my father, a good batsman back in his youth who once played against a West Indies selection at Waitaki Boys High, which is in Oamaru, for those who don't know, back in the late 50s. As I write this, though, I'm starting to think my dad may have embellished the story, as why would the Windies play at Waitaki Boys High? And I was asking myself the same thing before you asked that question. Anyway, his claim to fame, and something I always mention to my kids who roll their eyes every time when we go there, is that he scored his one and only century at the Queenstown Recreational Reserve. My father has no recollection of where he got these bats, which are still in their original paper bags. There are a few signatures I can make out, including Richie Beno, obviously Neil Harvey, Len Hutton. I was wondering if you guys knew anything about this memorabilia. Well, I don't know anything about the memorabilia other than it looks absolutely fantastic. And I don't actually know much about the memorabilia industry itself, although from on the line in Wellington, we have a memorabilia expert in Paul Ford. What do you reckon, Paul? These bats look pretty special.
Wow, it's amazing that they're literally still in the paper bags, the original paper bags. That's quite something. They look absolutely pristine. So, yeah, I mean, there's lots of signed bats, and Grim Lane and I always try and get them from people that we think are going to die quite soon, because the value's going to go up because they're going to stop signing things. But yeah, these look bloody good. But no, I don't know too much about them either. Maybe I'll have to take that away and do some homework.
The first thing I noticed when looking at these bats, though, is that how neat players were at signing things back in the day. You wouldn't get this these days. You wouldn't get you could have got. If I got a ruler out, I couldn't sign a bat that straight. They are so nicely signed. In fact, one on the left there has 2 columns of signatures. Yeah,
that's the England and Australia signatures, and that's a cracker. As he said, he's got Len Hutton there, Dennis Compton, Colin Cowdrey, Trevor Bailey. It's a pretty impressive stick. None of them look affected by borer. And the other thing I noticed about them too is they look like they're genuine bats, in that the trend of those days was for there to be a sharp edge on the toe of the bat, for it to be rounded on one side of the toe for sliding your bat into the crease, and it's sharper on the other. I don't know why they decided they only need to round one end. So they look like genuine pieces of willow that you would have used in a game at that era. So
More importantly, though, I would like to get the memorabilia bat, which is the West Indies versus Waitaki Boys High School memorabilia bat, because that does sound like quite a niche piece of kit.
I still think this is Antiques Roadshow material here. So, Robin, we will read out your second bat chat story next week, but thank you for sharing that with us. That is a,
You don't want to read that second one out now? We'll save it?
No, we'll save that for next week.
Yeah, good on you. Okay, rightio, it's time for...
It's Dylan Cleaver's Who Am I?
Yeah, so there wasn't one last week, but I was absent without leave. But the last time I did one, the person was Noel Harford, who died suddenly under no suspicious circumstances, aged 51 in 1981. Noel had an incredible start to his career. He scored 93 and 64 on debut at Lahore, and I think that might have been on a natural turf wicket, and then the series moved to the coconut matting. That was the trend in the subcontinent in those days, and thereafter his test career really went downhill. He scored 0, 1, 4, 25, 1, 9, 23, 0, 3, 0, 0, 2 and 4 before he was put out of his misery.
I'm having flashbacks to my short career.
Yeah, misery was the appropriate word. He was became a particularly embittered man, I believe, and had no hesitation telling everyone about his misfortunes. The winners include Simon Knowles and Michael Seth, who initially thought it was Bruce Taylor, but no, he eventually landed on Noel Harford, which is...
I thought it was Bruce Taylor when you said it, to be honest, just being honest.
So this week, it's very, very short. And it's very short because I ran out of time.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the player's short, but no, you're just in a rush.
Guts Logie. Oh.
I actually have...
Kruger Van Dijk. What?
I have been compared to one of the famous Grace brothers. Unfortunately, not WG, but Fred, the one who slept on a wet mattress and died of pneumonia when he was just 29. Lesson: always dry the wet patch. Not that I died young. I lived to a ripe old 85 and just missed the Y2K bug by a few months. The comparison is more to do with what we contributed to Test cricket. You can throw wee Gavin Hamilton into that mixer too. I was an all-rounder of some promise, though injuries never gave me the chance to see redress. In the end, I was probably better known in the equine world, the standard bred side of that, to be precise. Who am I?
Rightio, if you do know the answer to that question, you can contact you where?
It's short, but there's a little bit to work with there.
Okay, you're happy with your work?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Flick us an email to byc@beigebrigade.co.nz or slide into the DMs of the Alternative Commentary Collective or the Beige Brigade on Facebook or the Gram.
Right, shortly we are going to touch on apparently a bit of homework that someone here is looking to assign to the team. But first and finally, shall we just get a bit of this correspondence out of the way?
Yeah, there's a little bit of correspondence from a J McPhail who said, "Dear the BYC podcast, reminiscing on my Manawatu primary school cricket from back in the 90s, which was a form of T20 cricket, except after each over, all in the field, bar the keeper, rotated clockwise, so everyone got to bowl 2 overs. You batted in a partnership for 4 overs. If you didn't lose a wicket in those 4 overs, you got a 10% bonus added to your score. I don't think Play HQ could handle that these days. Which makes me think, if these rules were applied to the 2020 Cricket World Cup, would New Zealand dominate? Given Alba Allen are capable bowlers, even Chapman bowls a bit, and Ferguson is the only proper tail ender who Jamieson could replace, would New Zealand dominate? Thoughts? Love the podcast."
This is a good idea. I mean, I've said before, I think T20 needs to morph so that everyone has to bowl. I'm on board with that. Everyone has to bat, so why doesn't everyone have to just bowl 2 overs? If we're going to have massive sloggers, we're going to have heaps of all-rounders anyway. So, yeah, I'm on board with it. I don't know about the 10% bonus. I need to think about the ramifications of that. I suggest to you that New Zealand would probably still lose the World Cup final by about 500,000 runs instead of 1 million runs based on that, but I haven't done the maths.
I love this message mainly because it came through to UDC at 3:27 in the morning. See that there. So this person was obviously in the middle of a massive night, and as I always do when I'm in the middle of a massive night, I reminisce on my high school cricketing days.
Yeah, we actually had another piece of correspondence too, which I was desperately trying to scroll back now through the feed here because it was quite funny, and it was Mike Lane, for reasons only known to him, was talking about being chased by bears. And and we actually had someone who lived at the foot of the Rocky Mountains who was suggesting the best tactic when you're being chased by bears. I haven't got it right in front of me now, but I can summarize it by saying that there's a potential to win a one-on-one fight with a black bear. With a grizzly, you've got no chance. Your best option is to actually play dead. But yeah, you might want to get into a scrap with a black bear. You might be able to frighten it off. And you could climb a tree to escape a grizzly bear, but that's no good with the black bear, who are quite competent tree climbers. So
this also feels like a conversation I've had at 3:27 in the morning with you, DC. Okay, fellas, whose homework is this?
Oh, it was me. Yeah, that was me. So someone asked the other week, the last New Zealander to play in a Sheffield Shield, and off the bat, I said, I think it might have been Will Somerville, and I've now confirmed that it was. And prior to that, it was Luke Ronke, and then we can get into the weird and wonderful weeds of that. But yeah, anyway, it was the man known as Dad. And as I was doing the research, though, I was just going to mention, I do not remember this, but in February 2016, there was a Sheffield Shield game in New Zealand. New South Wales played Western Australia in Lincoln on the Bert Sutcliffe Oval, and it made the cricket history books, because at one point there was this really weird footage of all of the players trying to find a ball that got pummeled by Nick Maddinson off the spinner Ashton Turner and into a dense wall of trees.
Yep.
And so you had all of the players from both teams ransacking the hedge there at the Bert Sutcliffe Oval.
It's something they don't often encounter at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
I've spent many Saturday afternoons in that Bert Sutcliffe hedge. We used to mainly retrieving the balls from the bowling side, not rather than hitting them into that fucking hedge. Rightio, fellas. Anything else to add before we love you and leave you? No, TC, no, nothing. Okay, I'm going to go home and think about how I'd take on a black bear. All right, we'll see you same time, same place next week. Roo.